Hi everyone, my name is Melinda and I'm in the program on the environment. I want to thank you all for coming to my capstone presentation, Behind the Signs, Analyzing Effective Elements of Outreach Signage. For my capstone, I worked with Cedar Grove and was supported by my site supervisor, Maggie Brown, as well as my faculty advisor, Christy Strauss. I was interested in looking at outreach signage because improper food waste disposal is really common in the US. Instead of placing food waste in the appropriate container, which would be compost, it's placed into the garbage can, which is then taken to landfills. As a result of the conditions in landfills, when food waste breaks down, it produces methane, which is a powerful greenhouse gas that is really harmful for the environment. A lot of waste agencies are already aware of this issue and attempt to address it by distributing outreach signage. And the signage has the intent of educating their target audience about proper composting behavior and to persuade proper behavior in general. But one thing I noticed about many of these waste agencies was that their signage has so many variations in the form of the types of messaging, images, and overall design they used, and it seems like there was a lack of guidelines overall. So I set out to research which textual and visual design aspects of signage could most improve waste diversion behavior. I did this in part by interning with Cedar Grove, who both hauls food waste and takes it to their composting facilities. For some business that they worked with, you can see in figure 1, this is just an example, but oftentimes there would be a lot of non-compostables mixed in with the food waste. So I would just reach out to these businesses, have a general conversation with them about composting, why it's so important, and why we need to maintain proper food waste sorting, and I would give them signage as a reminder that they could post around their business. Additionally, Cedar Grove had some sorting documents of their own, so I translated them into different languages. And then more towards my own capstone, I developed a Google survey asking participants about their personal composting behavior and to rank 4 different waste sorting signages. And additionally on the survey, although most of it was asking them to rate using a scale from extremely effective to extremely ineffective, the participants also had the opportunity to provide their additional feedback. All right, looking towards my results, I want to direct you all to figure 2. In this question, I asked what survey participants' primary barriers to composting was. And if you see the second largest barrier, it was lack of knowledge. And this was from 22 out of 79 participants who stated this. And I wanted to highlight this because lack of knowledge is something that we can address if we improve outreach signage by making it more informative and more effective. Secondly, in figure 3, you can see the types of signages that I presented in my survey from left to right, signage 1, 2, 3, and 4. And although I don't have a figure for this, I thought it was really interesting. You can see signage 3, compost, is listed at the top in English, Spanish, and Chinese. And for the participants who chose to provide extra feedback about this particular signage, 29% of them positively acknowledged the use of multilingualism. And then figure 4 was one of the last questions of my survey, and it was asking all of the participants after they had gone through and looked at all of the signages, which one they thought was most effective. And you can see that signage 2 was ranked most effective by 38 out of 79 participants. And looking at signage 2, you can see aspects of vertical design, and there are clearly defined categories. For example, food, food-soiled paper, and approved compostable packaging. Within these categories, there's plenty of examples, and each example has a label. And also looking back to figure 4, after signage 2 being rated as most effective by the most participants, signage 4 was the next most effective. And then looking at the signage, these two shared the most commonalities. So that led me to one of my major takeaways, which is that waste organizations would really benefit from cooperating to develop a more standardized signage that incorporates these more effective design elements. Doing this would increase the public's baseline knowledge about composting. And to further that even more, translated documents must be available so that this knowledge is accessible to everyone. And then I would like to point you to figure 5, which is essentially signage number 2 that is translated and available in Chinese. And a combination of these two factors, having more standardized signage and having more accessible signage, would effectively improve food waste diversion. And I want to give some acknowledgements and thank Maggie, Christy, my friends, family, and loved ones for their continued guidance and support throughout this process. And if you have any questions about my poster, survey results, or anything else that you'd like to talk about, you can find me at my Twitter, which is listed right here by the title. It's at Melinda Skipworth1, and I'd be happy to answer questions anytime. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, and have a great day.